Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You made the trip. We've been on a long hiatus, but we're in production again, and we have a special show tonight. We've got episode 775, and the 1st of December, and we're sitting here nice and warm. It's a little bit weathery outside, though. So I've got on my right, we got Shawn Fleury. Shawn Fleury. Shawn's been on the show multiple times, from way back up until more recent times, and works in the commercial field of cannabis production as a former grower for medical marijuana patients before the law was in effect and got caught. So therefore, he is a genuine Oregon POW, drug war POW.
Proud of it.
So we appreciate coming in, Shawn. And on my left is we got Mike. Mike is a former truck driver, and that's how we met. In fact, I'm a former truck driver too. We met in L.A. and we told the story on the show before. But anyway, Mike has also worked in the field of cannabis production, and so I thought we would discuss cannabis. Here we are, Cannabis TV, so we're going to discuss cannabis. So surprising enough. And Shawn, you filled us in on your latest endeavors. I know you went through quite a bit of anguish, or I guess trying to find a decent job.
There's lots of jobs. They don't want to pay nothing.
I said decent job.
Yes, right. No, I started in the industry once my record was expunged. Thank you, Bear Wilner Nugent and Brian Michaels and several other lawyers involved.
How much did it cost you?
$2,600, $1,300 per conviction.
Okay.
But once those were expunged, I was lucky enough to work with probably the best company in the world, and that was Flo Kana at the time. That's who had Snoop Dogg and Willie Nelson, who I got to meet both of them. I worked in quality control for them. They paid really well wages. They were out of Mendocino County. By then I was living in California, hiding basically. And great job. Everything else compares to that. From then, it was pretty much downhill. When I came back to Oregon, my home state, the jobs were terrible. Nobody wanted to pay anything. The guys over the top of you were just mismanagement left and right. They really didn't know what they were doing, and it was pretty sad. I'm now working for a little tiny mom and pop's company, and one of the days I hope to have the owners, both of them, on here. They're great people to work for. They pay good wages. They take good care of me. I'm really happy with where I'm at now. Otherwise, I was pretty sure that this last year was my last year growing to make a professional business out of it, because it's just, it seems to be heading to corporate America now, and I won't play that game. But I'll always be a medical person, so, there's always, thank God for what we have left of medical marijuana, because that's really where I know you and I started. That's where it really was, the right to grow your own medicine in your backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Very important.
Right, yeah. And your experiences, Mike, it's a different than Shawn's, and yet related, of course.
Probably just location and the characters involved, I would think.
Yeah.
Most of the people that I work for, I built more grow rooms than actually the ones I worked in.
Mm-hmm.
But they started off all as, the black market. This was back in the day when it wasn't legal.
Right.
And just stayed in it to basically get free weed. You don't really make any money. You make it down the road with, access to cheaper product, and I was happy with that. I worked anyways.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm just completely kind of wash my hands of it, because I'm kind of a little bit disgusted by it. Just the whole arrangement really doesn't really favor any medical patients anymore, which is really
True.
maddening, to say the least. And you don't know what you're buying half the time. They name some of these things just like, you know, what are you thinking? Why do you call it dog poop? Or why do you call it,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, there was a famous variety out of Canada called dog shit. If you remember Mark Emery, I know you do.
Oh, yeah.
Mark
Yeah.
Emery had a dog shit, but it was it actually smelled and kind of
Did it
tasted.
smell like it?
Yeah, it was awful. It was awful.
I've forgotten all about him.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
miss,
Mark
I
Emery.
miss all the
Yeah.
old names, you know, the Matanuska Thunder.
Yeah, yeah.
Whatever.
Blueberry, DJ Short, the old school.
UW, Maui Wowie, Northern Lights, which they used to call Seattle City Lights, which was the same thing, but they wanted to differentiate themselves from other growers, so they would come up with a different name for the same
It's
strain.
common practice
And now
in
it's just
today's
kinda
world.
let loose, and I can't even tell. Just go for the smell test and what it looks like, and maybe recognize the farm if they
Yeah.
make a note of that.
That's Mike. That's
So-
about how I do it. Is the genetics are you know, you get a 100 pack of seeds, you can get 40 different looks out of that one phenotype because there's so many side phenos to it. So you know what might be a blueberry may not be on that 99th seed, and so you know a guy grows DJ Short blueberry, for instance, and now he finds a weirdo pheno to the side, and he thinks he's discovered the Holy Grail, and so he just names it off the wall something. Truth is, it's still just a DJ Short blueberry of a stranger phenotype.
Yeah.
So, but it's true. People do just name things. It's maddening. It truly is.
Yeah, no, there's no registry to speak of, I guess.
Well, no, in the professional business, we use Leafly for, you know, if we don't know a genetic very well and we have a source material for it, we use Leafly. Every big company does, and you'll find a little closer to genetic that way. And they've tested it and all that, you know, because there is DNA testing for plants, so it can be done. It's, do you want to really do it? I like to smoke a lot of different types and varieties, so you know, I don't care what name they put on it, except you really can't trust anything anymore with names.
Right.
Oh, and you know, with that said, we just went through a big testing thing, and a lot of people out there, and this is the one problem that we had in California, was testing. There's a wide range of testing. So testing can be one day, you know, 27%. The next time you test that same phenotype, though, it might be only 20%. So there's a up and down scale of testing alone. There's no testing is 100%. So it's like, ugh, it's maddening. You just find what you like and stick with it.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
Good luck with that.
Good luck with that. Yeah, that's true.
Also, I forgot to mention, when I introduced Mike. Mike is also a long-time volunteer for the Seattle Hempfest. How many years did you do that?
I don't know, about 12,
Yeah,
14 years.
about the same length as our Hempfest running. It went for 12 years, so yeah, but it's right in there.
Seattle was a lot of fun because compared to Eugene, which would just really try to do anything they could to derail it, we were in the 3rd precinct in Seattle at Myrtle Edwards Park, which is Elliott Bay, and the cops were great, city was great, never had any problems, even when they were worried about the gang showing up. You know, so the biggest problem that I had with that event was the fact that it generated so much trash.
Yeah. Did you
So-
go to Seattle Hempfest?
I have a couple times.
Yeah.
Mostly they came to us, like at Oregon Country Fair. When they first started, they brought people in, same with Burning Man, came to Oregon Country Fair to learn traffic and security, stuff like that. You know, big festivals are the same problem is at every festival: trash, traffic, security.
Yeah.
Same problems every time. Hydration.
That's what I did at Seattle. They recruited me. I was over in Community Village getting some produce.
Yep.
And back then, it was early 2000s, I was still on recycling.
Yeah. Oh God.
And
You
so
earned
they
your
had
money
me
at
doing
that
that.
fair then.
Well, we used to generate the same amount of trash that the Seahawks did over their whole home season
Yeah, I'm sure of
in
it.
3 days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I used to get so upset with it because they, you know, the people that attended were pretty good, but some of the vendors, especially food vendors who were making bank, selling institutional food
Oh.
that
Oh.
can't be resold, and just throwing it in the trash. You know, they didn't make any attempt to try to, when we set up, you know, food sections where they say, hey, all you gotta do is walk 50 feet up this hill and throw it in this 4-yard container, trying to keep it clean so we can get rid of it, actually sell it to somebody who can use it for composting.
Yeah.
And it was like pulling teeth, you know,
Well,
especially on the way out of there.
they've come a long ways now.
Oh yeah,
Thank goodness.
and thank goodness that event's over too, so they don't do it anymore. I mean, weed's illegal, what are you gonna argue about now? Pricing and
Yeah.
the corporation's taking over and.
Taxing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but at the time, Seattle was clamping down on the trademark the word Hempfest and was going to make everybody go through them to use the word Hempfest. And I was looking for that confrontation. I was looking forward to that because at that time we've been running the word Hempfest in our name for 12 years. So I was looking forward to that battle, but it never came to pass. So
Well, I was part of their steering committee when we were going through that, and they were trying to just monetize whatever they could because they thought that they were, you know, the ones that legalized it, nobody else. And we had good attorneys because we had legitimate reasons to have them, and they kind of said, you can't do that.
Yeah.
What you're trying to do is impractical. It doesn't, you know, there's nothing that's going to be an upside to this effort. And so they finally just said, okay.
Well, DanK and I we have story after story after story of several people in this state alone who were part of the movement who did more harm for medical marijuana than they ever did good in this state. There's a lot of people that are just complete outlaws and thieves as far as I'm concerned, and we all know who I'm talking about. I know he knows who I'm talking about, and there were several of them that were, you know, they really cared about the money end of it. They really didn't care about taking care of the little old grandma or the grandpa or, you know, the person with multiple sclerosis. They really didn't care. We found out real fast who the caring people were, who's willing to put their lives down and their money down.
that was the thing about the medical marijuana thing, especially in the early times. There were two things that always amazed me about that whole scene. Two things. One was how people were so giving.
Yes.
And wanting to help.
With their knowledge, their
Yeah,
medicine,
it was-
and
yeah.
their time, and their money.
And then then there was the flip side where the greed, and then there was unbelievable greed too.
Oh,
you know, so
we've seen lots of that.
it's,
Mostly in the Portland area. If you want my truth on it. Some of the
Yeah.
Portland people were a little less than us Eugenians, I
Oh,
would
yeah.
say.
Oh yeah.
They were definitely a little more big city and definitely wanted their cut of everything.
Oh yeah, you bet. Well, we've got a break coming up here, so we're going to take a break here and come back recharged, and we're discussing the cannabis issues quite a bit more. Like I said, Mike has been a volunteer for Seattle Hempfest for 12 years. I ran the Emerald Empire Hempfest for about 12 years, and so it's been quite a journey. I met a lot of great people and a few not so great, but
Good memories.
but a lot of
Yep.
good memories, yes, and
Absolutely.
a lot of good people that have passed. That's the biggest thing. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the second half of episode 775. We got DanK here, your host, and we got Shawn Fleury on my right, and we got Mike on the left, and we're talking about old times and some of the current times and the whole marijuana scene. Mike and I actually met through marijuana in L.A. That's how we met the first time.
Bakersfield.
Bakersfield. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Bakersfield.
Bruce's truck stop.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And was that wasn't the same trip that we met up later? Was
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Was it? Oh, okay.
Caught you on a Sunday. We were both headed up the hill
Yeah, that's right.
for we had laminated beams back
Yeah.
then, and we were
Yeah, and we both ended
didn't
up.
really talk about it, but we ended up at the same place.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, we ended up at the same site, unloaded, and so anyway, so it's been quite a time since then, and
I'm not even sure what year that was. I've been trying to think about that.
Oh man, I'd have to work on that. Yeah, I know.
I'm thinking it was somewhere around 88 or 84 to 85, because that's when I was driving for Dean.
Yeah, it could have been.
Because I had that old Kenstar, you know, that old Frankenstein truck he had.
The whole time I was driving, I was suspended in California.
I can't remember that.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, now I do, yeah, but I'd forgotten about it.
Yeah, I was suspended the whole time, and that's not a state you want to be. You want to be, you know, you want to keep everything straight, because that's bad state. And I, knock on wood, I couldn't believe it. I made it. I only came close to getting one. I won't bring that up now and waste the time of the show. But yeah, I almost got busted. But anyway, so yeah, and then it was interesting on the road meeting. I met a lot of interesting people through smoke. Really good people out there. That's the thing about driving truck like that. You meet all over the United States, and you meet such incredible people, and it's just mind-boggling. We've got a hell of a fantastic country. It's just amazing. And more and more states. I don't have the latest statistic. How many states have legalized marijuana, and how many are semi-legalized?
I think we're at 26 legal now.
Yeah. Okay.
I was say, yeah, we're getting close to half.
Yep.
Yeah,
I think it's 26.
Yeah.
Virginia just went in this last summer in July. They finally went legal.
Didn't Ohio?
Ohio went legal. New York went legal. Jersey. Now, if we could just crack the Bible Belt. Those poor people are still going to prison.
Yeah, which is sad, but I just tell you, move.
Or do like we did here and change the laws.
Yeah.
You know, that's what I try to explain when I'm back east is, you know what, instead of moving to Oregon, why don't you, you know, stand up and fight? And, you know, back in the old days, if you remember, I used to do these shows quite a bit, and I would say, talk to your mom, talk to your dad, talk to people. You know, I'm an ex-logger from a logging, ranching family, rednecks all the way out of Roseburg, Oregon. Guess what? If you can switch sides like I did, we can switch a lot of sides. You know, a lot of guys, I learned pot growing from rednecks in Douglas County. That's pretty much what I learned. That's where I got the bug, you know. So, you know, there's a lot of people that smoke in the Southeast.
Oh, yeah.
They just need to vote the right people in and fight for your rights. It's a constitutional right, it really is, in my opinion. I mean, that's what it always was about with me, was I have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and that's what I believe in. My pursuit of happiness is not yours or anyone else's. So.
Yeah, and I don't. Is Murder Mountain still on Netflix? You know?
I don't know. I don't know.
I don't either.
We were discussing that before the
Yeah.
show. That's a place out of Garberville, California.
Yeah.
Humboldt County.
I thought I'd mention that again on the show, and people that haven't seen it might want to. I don't know if it's still on Netflix or not, but it's called Murder Mountain. It's a documentary on Humboldt County, and it's really
hundreds and hundreds of missing humans,
really,
men and women.
Oh yeah, it's fascinating. It went from a complete wonderful dream to a nightmare kind of like thing. Well, that's amazing, and I didn't realize how bad it gotten. I did hear that it wasn't as good as it used to be, but it's. Wow, that was
the illegality of it all created the money thing, and of course that brings in some unwanted characters.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Greed, always greed. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So anyway, back to Seattle Hempfest. You said that they are no more. The problem with Seattle Hempfest is what I understood. Basically, they outgrew themselves. And that venue, they did really well with that venue because it was along the waterfront, so they were able to have, 5 stages?
Yeah.
Five stages, and they're far enough apart they didn't interfere with each other, so you could have a whole lot of music. And that thing about having FemFest that I found out is it's not hard to get entertainment. It's a little harder to get good entertainment, but especially when you're not paying anything. But with Seattle Hempfest and with their reputation, they really had relatively easy time of getting plenty of entertainment.
Well, it still took a lot of effort, you know.
Oh, of course.
You had to get, you know, some of the bands needed money, some of the bands needed accommodations while they're in town. So, you know, it was always kind of a scramble at the last minute to get everybody, the entertainment, the talent, whichever you want to call it. But we did have some interesting characters. I remember, let's see, Woody Harrelson came one year, and his management was all worried about the crowds and just him being there. He walked in barefoot from up by around where the grain towers were, and walked about a mile down the main stage, and everybody was great. They were respectful of the man, kind of left him alone. And we had one gentleman who was a great and funny man, Rick Steves.
Oh yeah.
His travelogues.
Yeah, on OPB, travelogue. Rick
Well,
Steves,
he is a dyed-in-the-wool stoner, and he would sit on main stage for 3 straight days, all day long, and it was people like that could kind of make that crossover into kind of the mainstream, kind of like what you were talking about earlier. It's just we have a lot more in common
than we don't have.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he could
It's
kind
true.
of bridge that conservative gap, which really helped up in Seattle, because the police saw the crowds that were there. Like we said, we had no problems. Nobody, I don't know how, but nobody got hurt. And so we had all these years, and it took a lot of those years just for the city of Seattle to calm down about the whole thing. And so I think
Education.
Education, you just got to get the experience, you got to put the time in, and you got to kind of assuage all the fears of the rampant reefer madness that I know my parents grew up with. I mean, I was smoking pot, I might as well have been shooting heroin.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
it
yeah.
was
It's
treated that way a
illegal,
long time.
Yeah, the majority of my political thing of legalizing pot, my late wife used to say that I was a pot addict.
Yeah.
And the only reason I was doing what I'm doing is so I could be around the drug of my choice. She was into Alcoholics Anonymous and all that, Narcotics Anonymous, all that. She was really into that, and so I used to tell her, I said, no, that's not the reason, but I have to admit, I've made some great contacts.
Yeah.
But but the good thing to me is that in the end, she did see the real of it, because even though she was suffering from Alzheimer's, I got her vape pen with headband strain, and she was willing to try it, and it helped her with her migraines, and she became a believer, and then started going to events with me. So that was great, and that does give me some real peace. She went to one of the first events that she went to was a tribute that Normal Bean did for me, and she felt very uncomfortable because she didn't know anybody. And then after about 10-15 minutes, all of a sudden she says, these people are so friendly. Well, they started finding out who she was. And they would come up to her and say, you're DanK's wife? Oh my God, give me a hug. And these people are wonderful. I said, yeah, I know. I've been dealing with them for over 20 years. I know. But anyway, it was good to see that she realized that it was more than just an addiction. So.
That's how it was in my family, pretty much, I guess, with almost all of us, is that education little part of it, of we're still educating people. I just told my boss the other day, I said, we really have to talk about these percentages on these bottles, these capsules that are going out the door to the distributors now, because people like to come in and they want the highest percentage. And I'll give you a really fast story. I was building a booth at the country fair this year, and a couple of guys that I've worked with before, I said, look, I've got some forbidden fruit. Now, forbidden fruit usually tests out at 16 to 19%. It's a sativa dominant purplish plant, very lovely plant. These boys are just indica heavy, 30% all the way or nothing. I said, this is a good working pot for the daytime. Smoked it, but because they didn't smoke that phenotype ever, that 16 to 19% put them in the dirt. And they were like, whoa, what? You told us? And I was like, see, guys, even you who grew up here in Oregon don't understand. Percentages don't mean anything. It's what your body and brain like from it. So we're still educating people in the cannabis world in many ways.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, true. Especially medibles. I always like to tell people be careful. With
Be
medibles.
careful.
And what's some of the things? Only eat half first.
Just take a nibble.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we all got stories of being over medicated. That and ourselves and our pets.
Don't eat more than one cookie for an hour or two. And if you do, have like chocolate chip normal cookies off to the side. Don't keep eating the medical cookies. You'll end up in the deck.
One of my favorite stories on that subject was at the Hempfest one year. Actually, I think it was the last year. One of our people brought in a pan of brownies, and they were cut in 2x2 squares, and a note right on the package saying "very potent, be careful," you know. And so we were giving one as a volunteer going off duty. We'd give them each a brownie. Well, we had it down to about half a pan, and then all of a sudden the pan disappeared. And so nobody could figure out where the pan went. So,
about the guy sleeping in the corner over there.
That's about it. 20 minutes later, one of the security said, "I think we found the guy that got the brownies right over there underneath that tree."
That's right.
Going, oh.
Oh, when's it over? When's it gonna end? We've all done it.
Yeah, it's definitely, be careful, because that was one of my worst experiences. I've told the story many times, but same thing, 2-inch squares, a note on the package, and everybody got one. As the event ended, it was a fundraiser this time, and then I went home and ate it on the way home, and boy, by the time I got home, I was so messed up.
Yeah, we used to give cookies away at Oregon Green Cross, you know, and that was one of the worst parts, because it was like, please be careful, and people wouldn't do it. They'd end up in the hospital with heart fibrillations.
So right down to the end of the show, and I should have done this 2 minutes ago, either one of you want the last thing to say on the show? So we got 30 seconds.
Nope. Support Dan. Support DanK here. DanK is one of the hardest.
Oh yeah.
One of the hardest working guys there is.
Make sure you vote this year.
Amen.
Yes.
That's a good one.
It's really getting kind of nutty, as I'm
And
sure a lot of you have
yes,
noticed.
and I'm glad you brought that up. And felons can vote in the state of Oregon.
I know. I voted in prison.
I keep telling people that because so many people don't know that, and
it's true.
Anyway, that's the way it is. So we'll see.